For 300 years, the Galactic Council had been watching Earth with growing unease. What started as routine monitoring of a primitive species had become something far more troubling. The humans were advancing too quickly, too unpredictably. Their wars were brutal, yet they showed remarkable compassion. They destroyed their environment, then fought desperately to save it. They created weapons of mass destruction, then worked together to prevent their use. The Council had never encountered a species so contradictory, so dangerous, and so hopeful. The moment the Council feared most came on a quiet Tuesday morning, when Earth's largest radio telescope received a signal that would change everything. It wasn't random cosmic noise or a pulsar's regular beat. It was a message, clear and unmistakable, from the stars themselves. After decades of listening to the cosmos in silence, humanity was no longer alone. But what the Council didn't expect was that humanity wouldn't just listen, they would answer back, and their response would shake the very foundations of galactic civilization. Dr. Sarah Chun stared at her computer screen, her coffee growing cold as the impossible pattern repeated across her monitor. The radio telescope in Chile had been picking up the same signal for 3 hours, and every attempt to explain it as natural phenomena had failed miserably. "Marcus, you need to see this," she called to her colleague across the observatory's control room. Dr. Marcus Webb rolled his chair over, his eyes widening as he saw the data. "This can't be right. Run the filters again." "I've run them 6 times. It's not interference, it's not a pulsar, and it's definitely not one of our satellites." Sarah's voice trembled with excitement and fear. "The pattern is too complex, too organized. It's mathematics." The signal pulsed in prime numbers, then shifted to the Fibonacci sequence, followed by what appeared to be chemical formulas for water and carbon dioxide. Someone or something was trying to communicate using the universal language of science. "We need to call the director," Marcus whispered. Within hours, the small observatory in Chile became the center of a global firestorm. Government officials, military personnel, and scientists from around the world descended on the facility. The signal was analyzed, decoded, and confirmed by every major space agency on Earth. The message was simple but profound. "We know you are there. We have been watching. Are you ready to join us?" For 3 days, world leaders debated in emergency sessions. Some wanted to respond immediately, others urged caution. Religious leaders called it a sign from God, while skeptics demanded more proof. But on the 4th day, something unprecedented happened. A 12-year-old girl named Emma Rodriguez from Mexico City hacked into her country's radio transmission system and sent her own reply, "Hi, we're ready to be friends. Can you teach us about the stars?" 14 light-years away, on the crystal world of Zirion Prime, the Galactic Council chambers erupted in chaos. The massive hall, which could hold representatives from 1,000 different worlds, had never seen such disorder. "The humans have responded," shouted Council Leader Zarn, his tentacles writhing with agitation. "After all our careful planning, all our protocols, a child has made first contact." The various alien delegates buzzed, clicked, and telepathically transmitted their shock. The reptilian Scrix delegation hissed in unison, while the crystalline Vorth representatives chimed like broken bells. The gas-form ethereals swirled anxiously in their containment fields. "Order! Order!" Zarn commanded, his voice amplified through the chamber's translation matrix. "We must address this crisis immediately." The Council had been established 50,000 years ago to manage contact with emerging civilizations. They had protocols, procedures, and careful timelines. First contact was supposed to happen when a species reached a certain level of technological and social development. It was supposed to be controlled, managed, and above all, safe. Humans had broken every rule. "Respected Council Leader," spoke Kara, 7, the representative from the machine world of Cogitus, her mechanical voice precise and emotionless. "The humans are only Category 3 on the development scale. They still engage in tribal warfare, they haven't unified their planet, and their technology is primitive. Why are we even considering contact?" "Because," said Elder Morvain, the ancient leader of the peaceful Lumina. They solved our quantum encryption in 3 days. Silence fell over the chamber. The quantum encryption that had taken the greatest minds in the galaxy centuries to develop had been cracked by human scientists working together across their divided world. Furthermore, continued Elder Morvain, his luminous form pulsing with concern, their response pattern suggests they have technology we didn't know they possessed. The signal came from 47 different locations simultaneously, perfectly synchronized. They've created a global network without our knowledge. Council Leader Zarn's worst fears were being confirmed. The humans weren't just advancing faster than expected. They were advancing in ways the Council had never seen before. "There's more," announced Rock of the Scrix, his forked tongue tasting the air nervously. "Our deep space monitors have detected unusual activity in the human system. They're building something." The main viewing screen activated, showing images from hidden probes around Earth's solar system. The humans had indeed been busy. Solar panels the size of cities floated in space, connected by beams of energy to what appeared to be a massive construction project near their moon. "What are they building?" whispered several delegates at once. "We don't know," Rock admitted, "but energy readings suggest it's something beyond their supposed technological level." Back on Earth, Emma Rodriguez had become the most famous 12-year-old in human history. She sat in the United Nations building in New York, surrounded by world leaders, scientists, and reporters, completely unfazed by the attention. "I just wanted to say hi," she explained for the 100th time. "My grandmother always taught me to be polite to visitors." President Johnson of the United States leaned forward. "Emma, do you understand what you've done? You've made contact with alien life." Emma rolled her eyes in the way only a 12-year-old could. "I know that. I'm not stupid. But everyone was just arguing and arguing. Sometimes grown-ups make things too complicated." Dr. Chun, who had become Emma's unofficial spokesperson, smiled proudly. The girl had somehow managed to unite the world's governments in a way no politician ever had. When the aliens had responded specifically to Emma's message, ignoring all official communications, world leaders had no choice but to listen to her. The alien response had been just as simple as Emma's greeting. "Hello, young friend. We are pleased to meet you. Your people have surprised us. We will send teachers soon." "Teachers?" asked the Secretary General of the United Nations. "What kind of teachers?" Emma shrugged. "The good kind, I hope. The kind that help you learn new things instead of just giving you tests." But not everyone was happy with Emma's role in First Contact. Military leaders worried about security, while some religious groups called her actions blasphemous. There were protests outside the UN building, with signs reading everything from "Emma for President" to "Aliens go home." Emma seemed unaffected by the controversy. She spent her time reading every science book she could find and working with Dr. Chan and Dr. Webb to prepare for the aliens' arrival. "What do you think they'll look like?" she asked Dr. Chan one evening as they reviewed the latest signals from space. "I don't know, Emma. They could look like anything." "I hope they're friendly," Emma said thoughtfully. "And I hope they like chocolate. Grandmother says you can't trust anyone who doesn't like chocolate." The Galactic Council's worst fears came true when their spy probe near Earth transmitted its final data before being discovered and destroyed by human technology that shouldn't have existed. "Impossible," breathed Kara 7 as she processed the data. "The humans detected our stealth probe. Our technology is thousands of years ahead of theirs." "Show us the recordings," commanded Council Leader Zarn. The viewing screen displayed the probe's final moments. A beam of coherent energy, unlike anything in the Council's databases, had disabled the probe in seconds. But more shocking was what the probe had recorded before its destruction. The construction project near Earth's moon was revealed to be a massive space station, built using materials and techniques that defied the Council's understanding of human capabilities. Energy patterns suggested the humans had achieved faster-than-light communication, something the Council had thought impossible for a species of their development level. "How?" whispered Elder Morvain. How have they advanced so quickly? The answer came from an unexpected source. Yix, the youngest member of the council and representative of the insectoid hive minds, suddenly stood and clicked excitedly. Cooperation! Yix buzzed. The humans are doing something we've never seen before. They're sharing all their knowledge freely across their entire species. The council members looked confused. Sharing knowledge was normal within species boundaries and established protocols. No, you don't understand, Yix continued, his excitement making his translation somewhat garbled. They're sharing everything. Military secrets, scientific discoveries, even personal thoughts and feelings. They've created a planetary mind without losing their individuality. The viewing screen shifted to show intercepted human communications. Social media posts, scientific papers, collaborative projects, all freely shared across the globe. Humans in different countries, speaking different languages, working together on projects that would have taken council species centuries to coordinate. They're using their primitive computer network to act as a single organism while maintaining separate consciousness, observed Kara, 7 with what might have been awe in her mechanical voice. The efficiency is remarkable. Council leader Zarn felt a chill run through his tentacles. The humans weren't just advancing quickly, they were advancing in a completely new way. They were doing something the galaxy had never seen before. Emergency session, he announced. Full council. Every species representative must attend. The human situation has become critical. While the galaxy's greatest minds debated humanity's fate, Emma Rodriguez sat in her grandmother's small apartment in Mexico City, doing homework like any normal 12-year-old. Mija, her grandmother Rosa, said gently, "You know the whole world is watching you now." Emma looked up from her math problems. "I know, abuela, but you always said to treat everyone with kindness, right? Even if they're different." Rosa smiled, her weathered hands smoothing Emma's hair. "See, but I was thinking of the neighbors, not space aliens. People are people, aren't they? Even if they come from the stars." Rosa considered this. Her granddaughter had always been special, too smart for her own good, her teachers said. But maybe that was exactly what the world needed now. "What do you think these aliens want, Mija?" Emma put down her pencil. "I think they're scared of us." "Scared? Why would advanced aliens be scared of humans?" "Because we're different," Emma said matter-of-factly. "Mrs. Martinez at school is scared of technology. Mr. Gomez next door is scared of change. When things are different from what you expect, it can be scary." Rosa nodded thoughtfully. Her granddaughter might be only 12, but she had a wisdom that came from somewhere beyond her years. "So what do we do when someone is scared of us?" "We show them we're not dangerous," Emma replied. "We be extra nice and patient, like when a stray dog is afraid. You don't chase it, you sit still and let it come to you." Outside their window, the lights of Mexico City sparkled in the darkness. Somewhere up there, among the stars, aliens were deciding humanity's future. But in this small apartment, a girl and her grandmother were having the most important conversation on Earth. "Emma," Rosa said softly, "I think you might be the smartest person in the world." Emma giggled. "No, abuela. I just listened to you." The Galactic Council's emergency session lasted 3 days. Representatives from across the galaxy debated via faster-than-light communication, their various forms of discussion filling the great chamber with a cacophony of sounds, lights, and telepathic energy. The question was simple but profound. What should be done about humanity? "They're too dangerous," argued General Krex of the Warrior Thrak Empire. "A species that advances this quickly, with no apparent limits, could threaten the entire galaxy. We should contain them now while we still can." "Contain them how?" challenged Elder Morvain. "They've already demonstrated technology we don't understand. Our stealth probe was destroyed by a weapon system they shouldn't possess." "Then we must study them," insisted Dr. Valtamir of the Scientific Academy Worlds. Think of what we could learn. A species that shares knowledge freely, that cooperates on a planetary scale. This is unprecedented. Unprecedented and dangerous, hissed Rock of the Scrix. They've unified their world in less than a week. No species has ever done that. They're unnatural. Yicks of the hive minds buzzed loudly for attention. Perhaps that's exactly why we need them. Look at us, we've been the same for thousands of years. We follow protocols, we maintain order, we don't change. But the humans? They're showing us something new. The debate raged on. Some species wanted to destroy humanity before they could become a threat. Others wanted to study them. A few suggested immediate full contact and integration into the galactic community. Finally, Council Leader Zarn called for order. We will vote. 3 options. Containment, which means isolating the human system and preventing their expansion. Study, which means continued observation with limited contact. Or integration, which means full first contact and invitation into the council. The vote was close. Containment received support from the military species. Study was favored by the scientific communities. But integration won by a narrow margin, thanks largely to the younger species representatives who were excited by humanity's potential. The decision is made, announced Zarn, though his tentacles writhed with worry. We will make full contact with humanity. May the cosmos help us all. Emma was in her science class when the sky changed. It started as a shimmer, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. Then the shimmer grew, becoming a gleaming silver shape that descended slowly toward Earth. The ship, for it was clearly a ship, was beautiful beyond description. It looked like a cross between a flower and a crystal, with surfaces that reflected light in impossible ways. Every screen on Earth, every phone, every computer, suddenly displayed the same message. Greetings, people of Earth. We are the Galactic Council. We come in peace to meet with your representative, Emma Rodriguez. Emma's teacher, Mrs. Patterson, stared at her student in amazement. Emma, they're asking specifically for you. Emma nodded calmly, though her heart was racing. I guess I should go meet them then. Within hours, Emma found herself back at the United Nations, but this time the entire world was watching. The alien ship had landed in Central Park, drawing crowds of millions. Military forces surrounded the area, but they seemed unnecessary. The ship simply sat there, beautiful and peaceful, waiting. Dr. Chun stood beside Emma as they approached the ship. Are you ready for this? Emma squeezed her grandmother's hand. Rosa had insisted on coming, declaring that Emma shouldn't meet aliens without proper supervision. Remember what we talked about, Mija? Rosa whispered. They're probably scared. Be patient. The ship's surface rippled like water, and an opening appeared. Light poured out, not harsh artificial light, but something warm and welcoming. 3 figures emerged. The first was tall and graceful, with tentacles instead of arms and large, kind eyes. The second appeared to be made of living crystal, refracting light into beautiful patterns. The third was harder to see clearly. It seemed to be made of colored gas contained in a transparent suit. Emma stepped forward and, in her clear 12-year-old voice, said, Hi, welcome to Earth. I'm Emma, and this is my grandmother Rosa. We're very happy to meet you. The tentacled being, Council Leader Zarn, stopped in surprise. In all his years of first contact protocols, no one had ever welcomed him so simply and warmly. Hello, Emma, he replied, his voice translated by a small device. I am Zarn. We are pleased to meet you as well. Emma smiled brightly. Would you like to see our world? And maybe have some chocolate? My grandmother says you can't really know someone until you've shared food with them. The next few hours changed everything, not just for humanity, but for the entire galaxy. Emma took the aliens on a tour of New York City, accompanied by Dr. Chan, her grandmother, and a small army of security personnel who tried to be inconspicuous. The aliens were amazed by everything they saw. Your species builds upward, observed Kara 7, the crystalline being, as she looked at the skyscrapers. Most species build outward or downward. This suggests a unique perspective on space utilization. We don't have much room, Emma explained practically, so we go up instead of out. It's like stacking books on a shelf. At a local cafe, Emma introduced the aliens to chocolate, pizza, and ice cream. Zarn's tentacles quivered with delight as he tasted chocolate for the first time. This is extraordinary, he admitted. We have nothing like this in the galaxy. Really? Emma asked, surprised. What do you eat for fun? The aliens looked at each other in confusion. The concept of eating for fun was apparently foreign to them. Rosa, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke up. You don't have comfort food? Food that makes you happy when you're sad. We eat for sustenance and nutrition, replied Yix, the gas form alien. The concept of emotional eating is interesting. As the day progressed, the aliens began to understand something profound about humanity. They weren't just technologically gifted, they approached life itself differently than any species in the galaxy. You work together without losing your individuality, Zarn observed as they watched street musicians playing with children from around the world who had come to see the aliens. You share freely without expectation of return. You find joy in simple things. How is this possible? Emma thought about it seriously. My grandmother always says that the best way to be happy is to make other people happy. And the best way to learn is to teach what you know to someone else. Isn't that how everyone lives? The aliens realized with growing amazement that no, that wasn't how everyone lived. In fact, no other species in the galaxy lived that way. That evening, in the United Nations building, the real conversation began. The aliens had requested a meeting with world leaders, but they insisted Emma be present. We owe you an explanation, Zarn began, addressing the assembled representatives of Earth's nations. We have been watching your species for 300 years. The room erupted in shocked murmurs, but Emma just nodded as if this made perfect sense. We watch all developing species, Zarn continued. It's our responsibility to guide them safely into the galactic community. But your species, you have confounded us at every turn. President Johnson leaned forward. How so? Kara 7's crystalline form chimed softly as she spoke. Most species follow predictable development patterns. They advance technologically, then socially, then spiritually. They learn to cooperate within their own kind before attempting to cooperate with others. But humans, you do everything simultaneously. You're still fighting wars while reaching for the stars, added Yix. You're destroying your environment while desperately trying to save it. You create weapons of mass destruction while working together to prevent their use. You should be a failed species, yet you're advancing faster than any species in galactic history. Emma raised her hand like she was in school. Can I ask a question? Zarn nodded, amused despite his nervousness. Why is that bad? I mean, why does everyone have to develop the same way? The aliens looked at each other. It was such a simple question, but they realized they didn't have a good answer. Because, Zarn said slowly, that's how it's always been done. That's how the galaxy maintains order and stability. But what if there's a better way? Emma asked innocently. The question hung in the air like a challenge. For 50,000 years, the Galactic Council had maintained order through rigid protocols and careful control. But a 12-year-old girl was suggesting there might be a better way. Elder Morvain's luminous form pulsed thoughtfully. Tell us, Emma, how would you run the galaxy? Emma considered this seriously. Well, first I'd make sure everyone could talk to each other easily. Then I'd set up a system where everyone could share what they're good at. Like, if one planet is really good at growing food, they could teach other planets. And if another planet is good at building things, they could help others build what they need. But what about conflicts? Asked President Chun of China. What about disagreements? You talk it out, Emma said simply. Like actually talk. Not just argue, but really listen to what the other person is saying. My teacher says most fights happen because people don't really understand each other. The aliens realized that Emma was describing something that had never existed in the galaxy. True cooperation between different species, based on understanding rather than dominance. Over the following weeks, something unprecedented happened. The aliens didn't just make contact with Earth's governments, they made contact with humanity as a whole. Scientists from around the world collaborated with alien researchers, sharing knowledge freely. Artists created works inspired by alien cultures, while alien artists tried to understand human emotions through music and poetry. Children sent drawings to alien children or alien equivalents, starting friendships across the stars. The mysterious construction project near Earth's moon was revealed to be humanity's first attempt at a faster-than-light communication array, designed using principles they had figured out from the original alien signal. The aliens were amazed. It had taken them centuries to develop similar technology, but humans had done it in weeks through unprecedented global cooperation. How? Zarn asked Dr. Chun during one of their scientific exchanges. How did your species accomplish this so quickly? Dr. Chun smiled. We did what Emma suggested from the beginning. We shared everything. Every country, every scientist, every engineer worked together. We put all our knowledge into one global database and let everyone access it freely. But what about national security? Trade secrets? Military advantages? We decided that making contact with you was more important than those things, Dr. Chun replied. Emma helped us realize that some things are bigger than our old divisions. The girl who had started it all continued to amaze everyone. She spent her days learning from alien teachers, but also teaching them about humanity. She introduced them to concepts like birthday parties, bedtime stories, and the importance of hugging your grandmother. You're changing us? Zarn admitted to Emma one day as they watched human and alien children play together in Central Park. Your species is changing the entire galaxy. Good change or bad change? Emma asked. Zarn considered this. Different change. For 50,000 years, the galaxy has been stable, orderly, and predictable. Now, thanks to you, it's becoming something new. Something we've never seen before. Are you scared? Emma asked with the directness of a child. Terrified, Zarn admitted, but also excited. Your species has shown us possibilities we never imagined. Word of humanity's integration into the galactic community spread quickly. Other species, inspired by the human example, began questioning their own rigid social structures. Young beings across the galaxy started communicating directly with each other, bypassing official channels and government protocols. The first interspecies collaborative project was proposed by a group of young scientists from 12 different worlds. They wanted to build a new type of space station that would serve as a cultural and scientific exchange center, designed using ideas from all participating species. The older generations were horrified. Such projects were supposed to take decades of planning, official approval, and careful oversight. But the young beings, inspired by humanity's example, simply started building it themselves. This is chaos, General Krex complained to the council. Order is breaking down across the galaxy. But Elder Morvain saw things differently. Perhaps, she suggested, what we called order was actually stagnation. Look at what these young beings are accomplishing together. In 6 months, they've made more scientific breakthroughs than we've seen in centuries. The change wasn't without problems. Some species struggled with the new openness. Others worried about losing their cultural identity in the rush to collaborate. There were conflicts, misunderstandings, and occasional disasters. But there were also miracles. Species that had been enemies for millennia began working together. Scientific problems that had puzzled the galaxy's greatest minds for ages were solved by mixed-species teams in weeks. Art, music, and literature flourished as different cultures merged and blended. Emma, now 13, found herself appointed as the youngest ever galactic cultural ambassador. She spent her time traveling between worlds, helping species learn to communicate and understand each other. The key, she explained to a gathering of alien diplomats, is to remember that everyone wants basically the same things. They want to be safe, happy, and understood. If you start there, you can figure out almost any problem. 1 year after first contact, the galaxy was unrecognizable. The rigid hierarchy of the Galactic Council had evolved into something more fluid and democratic. Instead of a few elder species making decisions for everyone, there were thousands of collaborative committees working on everything from interstellar trade to art appreciation. The young multi-species space station had become the first of dozens. Each one was unique, reflecting the combined creativity of its builders. They served as trading posts, research centers, cultural exchanges, and simply places where beings from different worlds could meet and become friends. Emma, now famous throughout the galaxy, still lived with her grandmother in Mexico City. She attended school like any normal teenager, did her homework, and complained about having to clean her room. But she also corresponded with young beings from hundreds of worlds, helped resolve diplomatic conflicts, and occasionally gave advice to leaders older than her species. "Do you ever regret what you did?" Dr. Chun asked her during one of their regular meetings. "That first message you sent changed everything." Emma considered this seriously. "Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't done it. But then I think about all the friends I've made, all the things we've learned, all the problems we've solved together. I think the galaxy is better now. Even with all the chaos and uncertainty?" "Especially with the chaos and uncertainty," Emma replied with a grin. "Certainty is boring. Chaos means anything is possible." Council leader Zarn, who had become one of Emma's closest alien friends, nodded in agreement. "Your species has taught us that growth requires change, and change requires courage. We had neither for too long." "What happens now?" asked Rosa, who had become something of a galactic celebrity herself as the grandmother of first contact. Zarn's tentacles rippled with what Emma had learned was his version of a smile. "Now we explore the universe together. We learn from each other. We make mistakes and fix them. We create things that have never existed before." "Sounds like a pretty good plan," Emma said. Emma Rodriguez-Chin, she had been formally adopted by Dr. Chen's family when her role as Galactic Ambassador required her to travel frequently, stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, the largest of the multi-species research centers. Through the transparent walls, she could see the galaxy as no human had ever seen it before. Ships from dozens of species moved in coordinated patterns, carrying goods, people, and ideas between the stars. The space around the station bustled with activity as beings from across the galaxy worked together on projects that would have been impossible just a few years earlier. Emma was 18 now, officially an adult, though she still called her grandmother every day and never made important decisions without asking for Rosa's advice. "Ambassador Emma," came a familiar voice behind her. She turned to Cizal, a young Scrix who had become one of her closest friends. "The new species contact team is ready for your briefing." Emma nodded. Another species had just achieved faster-than-light communication, and it was time to make first contact. But now, instead of a rigid council protocol, first contact was handled by mixed teams of young beings from different species, all trained in Emma's approach. Patience, kindness, and an assumption that everyone wanted to be friends. "Tell me about them," Emma said as they walked through the station's corridors, past laboratories where human and alien scientists worked side by side, past art galleries displaying creations that blended styles from dozens of worlds, past playgrounds where children of various species played games that would have been impossible to imagine just a few years earlier. "They're called the Melody," Zal explained, his forked tongue tasting the air excitedly. "They communicate primarily through music and seem to have achieved space travel through biotechnology rather than mechanical engineering." Emma smiled. "They sound wonderful. I can't wait to meet them." As they reached the briefing room, Emma paused to look out another window. Somewhere out there, among the billions of stars, Another species was about to join the galactic community. They would bring new ideas, new perspectives, new ways of solving problems that no one had thought of before. The galaxy had feared the moment when humanity would reply to their signal. But that moment had led to something beautiful. A universe where everyone could talk to everyone else, where knowledge was shared freely, where differences were celebrated rather than feared. Emma's grandmother had been right all along. The best way to be happy was to make other people happy. And the best way to learn was to teach what you knew to someone else. The galaxy was finally learning that lesson, one species at a time. "Ready, Ambassador?" asked Zal. Emma grinned, the same bright smile that had started it all when she was 12 years old and decided to say hello to the stars. "Always ready," she replied. "Let's go make some new friends." And in the vast expanse of space, another species was about to discover that the universe was full of beings who just wanted to be friends, led by a young woman who had learned the most important lesson of all. Sometimes the best way to change the galaxy is simply to be kind. The Council had feared the moment when humanity would reply, but that reply had become the galaxy's greatest gift. In a universe full of ancient civilizations and advanced technologies, it had taken a 12-year-old girl with a generous heart to show everyone the most important truth. We're all better when we work together.